Welcome to the life you crave. Simple and sustainable weight loss for women who have better things to do than diet. I'm your host, Leah Pinelli. I help ambitious, badass women stop overeating, overworking, and overgiving to lose weight from a place of love. I'll help you simplify weight loss, end your overwhelm, and create the life you crave. If you like what you hear, please like and subscribe to this podcast. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to the Life You Crave podcast. I have the total honor and privilege of interviewing today on the podcast, of introducing the magical and phenomenal and transformational Dr. Sue McCreadie. I'm going to share with you her bio, and then we are going to dive right in. So Dr. Sue, you guys, when I met her, I was like, I have to get her in front of my audience. She is such an inspiration. She's a breakthrough coach for mamas, and she is a holistic pediatric physician for over 2 decades. She has helped thousands achieve vibrant health. But what most people don't know is that she has struggled, especially as a mom. Bringing 3 daughters into this world, she lost 4 along the way. She crossed the pregnancy finish line, a digestive, hormonal, and emotional mess. And that is her description of herself. That is not me. Over the following decades, she found a deeper meaning for miscarriages, reclaimed her vibrant health, and grew emotional resiliency. She now supports mamas to break through the physical, emotional mayhem and live life re-energized, empowered, and knowing her soulful way. I love this. Dr. Sue, thank you so much for coming on the Life You Crave podcast today.
Oh my gosh. I love it all, Leah. I love you. I think I found another soul sister, which is like the best part of running the summit, is meeting my soul sisters in the world. So thank you for being out there.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I would love for my listeners to get to start with just a little bit of an understanding of who you are. Like, who is Dr. Sue? How did you come to be Dr. Sue in the world?
I come to be in Dr. Sue in the world. Well, I came through a mama, that is for sure. And this, my mom is now 88 years young. And she is actually a pivotal part of why I'm even here in front of you today, because I wanted to be just like her. And she's an emergency room nurse. And my first exposure to medicine was through her work. And back in the day, before HIPAA laws, you could take your child to work, including the emergency room. So I would like tag along with her. And my eyeballs were just like, whoa, what is this? I totally love this. Yeah. And I said, Mom, I want to be a nurse just like you. And my mom, you all know those personality types. I call this type of mom a visionary mama. She is like, she's going to tell you how it is. Yeah. That's my mom.
Yeah.
And she said, don't be a nurse, be a doctor. Super. Don't take the orders, give the orders.
Yeah, I love your mom. Yes.
And so, I think that's how it all really started. I was like, wow, I didn't even think that was a possibility, right? So that's what I'm actually part of my whole purpose, really, in my practice. I mean, I'm so passionate about helping kids heal holistically. And so that was kind of the ball. I went to med school, went to the traditional medical, got my MD. And I thought I wanted to be a psychiatrist because I love people. I love relationships. I love human behavior. And I was a biopsych major, and I loved neuroscience and med school. And I was like, this is my jam. So I thought I wanted to be a psychiatrist. And then I saw what psychiatry was. And I said, that is not for me.
That's not it. Yes.
That's not it. But I fell in love with pediatrics, that pediatric rotation. I was like, I love kids. I've always loved kiddos. Babies, I light up. Like I saw one yesterday at my daughter's volleyball game. It's like all eyeballs like, there's a baby in the room. Yeah. So I love kids, and they just really light me up. And so I really focused on them. And I did something very unconventional, which is I just started my own pediatric practice right after training. I was the chief pediatric resident, which is like an extra year of training and leadership. And then I just launched my practice, which like most of my mentors were like, good luck with that.
Really?
Yeah. But one was really proud of me. So that was really cool. I had one, she was like, wow.
Yeah.
And the rest were like, whoa. Because it's really unconventional to go out and launch your own pediatric practice. So I first started with general peds, and then quickly, as soon as my oldest, who's that little bean on the wall, who's now in college,
Wow.
when she was born, it was just so evident to me. I was like, I don't want to do conventional medicine. Like, she really made it clear, like, if I'm going to spend any time away from your angelness, I get to practice medicine exactly as my heart desires. So I just started carving my own path. And that really led me to what I do now, which is helping kids heal holistically. And my primary focus is through nutrition. So I help kids align their diet and lifestyle with their DNA. So I do a lot of like nutrigenomics work and figure out, like, is gluten your thing or dairy your thing? Or is it you need low sugar, gluten, dairy, and sugar? Just note, those are the three big. I'm sure you always talk about that.
Yeah.
And also really helping these kids with all the laundry list of issues that kids have now, right? ADD, ADHD, anxiety, all these chronic issues. Either help them get off of medication or help where medication can't help, otherwise known as autism, right? So what was interesting was all along the way, the moms were like, what about me? Like, can you help me? And so it was really an evolution that it's been a long process. I've been doing pediatric medicine for over 20 years now. And it was just last year that I was like, wow, I really hit my lane, Jane, in terms of helping mamas. And that's through, breakthrough coaching. And so the evolution of that is too long to even go into, but that's the thing, that's the journey of, right? Like, you just get to try all these different ways of serving, and then you land the one which is like, oh my gosh, this is what it's all about. I've been helping kids for 2 decades, and now I'm helping moms, rise up and realize their dreams and feel fulfilled in every facet of life so that they can be better leaders of themselves and therefore their kiddos. Every child comes through a mama.
Right. That's right. In some shape or form, right?
In some shape or form. So it's all kind of the bigger picture, I realize. So that's how I've come to where I am here today. It's really fun.
Yeah. Well, I love about your story is it's similar to mine in that I was working with teenage girls and teens.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Very similar, because it was like, man, if we could help more moms, this would have a trickle down effect, right? I mean, it would make a difference to kids. I mean, it's like it all starts there. But also, what I really appreciate about what you said is when you were talking about that kind of journey for parents to help their children when it comes to health, nutrition, and then things like you said, like ADHD or all these things. It almost always, tell me if I'm wrong here, Dr. Sue, but it falls on moms. Like, I know.
Yes.
It's like,
the vast majority. And it's very uncomfortable is the thing. And it's very uncomfortable because it's unconventional. It's unconventional to think that you could actually give your child a methylated B supplement, the building block to form the neurotransmitters to help them with their ADD or ADHD or depression or anxiety, right? And so because it's so unconventional, I used to think of us like as little fishies swimming upstream, right? And I said, but there's a bunch of us little fishies. So here we are.
Right. Yeah.
But it takes a lot of leadership, on the part of mom to do that, right? It's like she's really got to get her wherewithals and like fight for her child. And I always say, like, I am blessed to work with the most amazing parents because they'll just do whatever it takes. There's no stopping them.
Yes. Yeah. There's no stopping them. And yet I think, and that's what I love about, those of us who are in that category of being unstoppable, but also it's exhausting and we deplete ourselves in the process. And I feel like you do. And I would love for you to share a little bit about this. Like, what does it mean to be a breakthrough coach?
Yeah, breakthrough coach. So my framework is really from Tony Robbins. So that is where I've learned the vast majority of what I teach mamas is through Tony Robbins frameworks. And breakthrough, to me, what breakthrough means, often people think of a breakthrough as like, oh, like an aha, right? Like an aha, like, oh, I broke through. I can see it in a different way, which is the first part, which is actually awareness. Breakthrough is actually when you're being the ways that allow you to get the results that you want.
I love
right?
it.
So like we can be aware all day long. Like I was just sharing with Leah before we started, you know, her and I, we're like the motivator mamas, right? Like we're like the woohoo, we have high energy. We like to do all the fun things, like next shiny object. Like I want to do this.
Yes.
Right. And then when it gets down to the details of our work, you know, or in anything, it's not just my work. It's the same with my kids, you know, like I'm the mom who shows up to the orientation on the wrong day. Okay. Like that's me.
Yes, totally.
And then the kids are like, Mom, I'm like, sorry.
Yes.
So I can have awareness of that all day long.
Yes.
But until I'm actually being, you know, focused and, you know, rigorous and in excellence and like slowing down to get intimate with the details. Like until I'm really being those ways, I haven't really broken through.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I totally see what you're saying. It's like where we say awareness isn't enough, right? Like, just having the awareness is great. It's the first step, but it's actually the transformation piece. That's the breakthrough is what you're saying.
Yeah. And I feel like breakthrough, we get to do this together. So breakthrough work, like often it's not like I'm going to like break through this, you know, karate chop this piece of wood and I'm doing it on my own. Like breakthrough actually happens collectively as a community because we all get stuck in the mud. Yeah. I get stuck in the mud. Leah gets stuck in the mud. You get stuck in the mud. And like, we need the other mama to be like, come back up, Dr. Sue. Like, we got work to do. You know? So we all have different, you know, soulful strengths that we bring to the table. So whereas, you know, I'm like the mirror for someone to be like, wow, I need a lot more joy in my life. We get to have more fun. I get to laugh more, right? Another mama is a mirror to me of like, wow, if I just slowed down and got intimate with the details, I would have realized like X, Y, or Z, right? And so to me, that's why it's all this great like mirror work and we get to do it together. That's why all of what I do is like group coaching and then also a combination if you do deeper work with me of like one-on-one. But that's why, because breakthrough we get to do together. It's not like you're just doing it on your own. Right. It's like something we do every single day.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. And you know, I'm big on community, especially for women. Because just the power of community, of knowing that you're not alone, of doing it with other people, of it being imperfect, you know.
Oh my gosh, so imperfect.
Other people, see other people's imperfection. I'm like, oh, this is normal, right? This is totally. I love that. So you had mentioned being a motivator mama. Do you want to tell folks what does that mean and how can they find out what they are?
Yeah, so you can actually go to my website, drsuemccreadie.com, and there's a soulful mama strength. So all of us have this soulful mama strength and there's 4 different types, right? And really what all of we're doing in coaching in general is helping you discover more about yourself. Because the more you realize about yourself, of what your strengths are and where your weaknesses are, then you figure out strategies to bridge the gap so that you can be those ways, right? So it all starts with like knowing what your soulful strengths are. And so you can go to my website and take the quiz. It only takes like a few minutes and it's fun. Like I promise you it's fun because I'm a motivator mama. Right. So really quickly, there's kind of 4 categories. I'll start with the visionary mama. The visionary mama is like my mom. Okay. She's the one who's like, you know, big picture, bottom line results. She's rather direct. Like, don't be a nurse, be a doctor. Don't, you know, don't receive the orders, give the orders. It's like, yikes. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I know a few of those. I love them.
And you love them, right? Because they're so direct. They ask really direct questions. They're often like the CEOs and like the leaders. They're natural born leaders. They're like the Beyoncés of the world. They're like twirl on you bitches. They're like bow down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
They're amazing. Their struggle is that they'll struggle in relationships because they'll just bowl you over. You know, they just want to control everything. And so in essence, like love, you can't control. So guess what? They have some struggles when it comes to relationships because they overvalue control.
Wow. Interesting.
Motivator mamas are like Leah and I. I was like, Leah, you're a motivator mama. She's like, I am? I'm like, you are. So motivator mamas are like, we're the fun. We're like, you know, like, let's have fun, people. We get to have fun. They're the life of the party. They're the spice of life. They're the influencers. They're the positive people. They're always going to take a spin on like, life is working for me. This is how it's working for me. You know, this is how it's working for you. Like you kind of get annoyed by them because they're like so too much.
Dr. Sue, you're annoyed by me? But yeah, this is all resonating totally.
Yeah, like you either love these people or you're like run for the hills because they could be like too much. They're like they're too shiny and they're too emotional and they're just too, right? So their get to the world is that they're the bright light, right? The downfall of the motivator mama is that she's spinning, like she's going too fast and that she never slows down. So she can really lose intimacy with the details of life. Hence how it can show up on a completely incorrect day or never read the email that said X, Y, or Z, or how I read emails may scare a detail mama to death.
Yes, totally.
The giver mamas are the opposite of the visionary mamas. The giver mamas are they are like I birthed one. They are like balm to me. They're just like the mama of all mamas. They're just like, come to me. Like, let me give you a hug. Like they will take all the time in the world for you. It's 80% you and 20% them.
Yeah.
So they giving for them is like breathing. It's so natural. And the problem for the giver mamas is that she becomes depleted, which all of us usually are givers when it comes to our kids, right? So we get super depleted because all we're doing is just like pouring out, right? Yes. And even though my daughter was like, I don't like how you say that because she helped me with, they become doormats.
Yeah. Totally.
People can walk all over them, right? Especially the visionary mama. She'll just be like, you know, so that's kind of that's the hard part for them. Right. And then the detail mama is the opposite of the motivator mama. She's the mama where you're just like, can I be more like you? She is so into the weeds of everything. Her integrity is on steroids. Yeah. She has incredible standards for herself and for you.
Yes, I used to have a boss like that. Yes. And I loved her. But I mean, man, like she could just keep track of everything. And I'm like, I have no idea. Like, and she was like, and she always look at me like, what's the matter with you?
Yes.
You know, and I'm like, she was
which is somehow how the detail, you know, because I buried one. They're like, what? You know, slow down.
Have you thought about this and that?
Have you thought about this and that? So the great thing about the detail mama is she's analyzing from every direction, right? Mm-hmm. She's the spreadsheet maker. We all have the friends who like make the spreadsheets, you know, she's a spreadsheet maker.
Exactly.
The problem for her is that she can get so lost in analyzing it from every single direction. She procrastinates. Like she just can't get it done. She's stuck because she so wants after perfection, and perfection is the lowest standard. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And so she can just get totally stuck in analyzing from everything. The truth is we all have all parts of these. It's just that we naturally kind of birth into the world primarily one. And then we kind of have, I call them our wings, right? So like primarily I'm a motivator mama and my two wings are visionary and giver. You know, the thing that I get to grow most into is being a detail mama. And the more I grow myself into being a detail mama, the more I'm going to get where I want to go, to impact more people. Yeah.
Like we were just talking about. Okay. So that is so fascinating. I'm going to make sure I get all of that in the show notes, especially the link to your quiz, because everybody should take it.
It's so fun.
Even if you're not an actual mama, you can still take the quiz, right?
Yes. So the thing about mama term I love is mama is actually a mature, wise woman too.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have birth children or adopted children. You don't have to have little beings in your life. If you do, I think that's great, but you don't have to.
Well, a lot of my clients, they work in giving professions, right?
Yes.
And so a lot of times, a therapist, psychologist. And so a lot of times it's the same thing, right? It's very similar. Okay. So I can't interview you here for the show and not ask you to talk a little bit about your work with eating for your genetics.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Everything. I'm dying to know.
This was so cool. Okay. So the way I stumbled upon this, right? It's like for everything in life, really, once you learn it, you get to share it. Right. Yeah. And the more we grow, the more we can give to others. And that's what ultimately makes us fulfilled in life. Anywho. So the way I stumbled upon this was the biggest physical challenge I've had all of my life, even from a kiddo. When I was little, my mom took me to that exact same ER as a patient, was for digestive issues. And I've struggled all my life with digestive issues, some life-threatening, like the trip to the ER that my mom took me to. And then also just really digestive dis-ease, right? I think if you kind of labeled me in conventional medicine, you would label me as irritable bowel syndrome, IBS.
Yep. Same label.
Yeah. And so with that label, I have tried so many different things with all my knowledge base, because this is like what I do, right? So I've tried all these different diets, right? And my joke is people are like a running joke. People will be like, what diet are you on now? Not diet in terms of like losing weight, but are you on specific carbohydrate diet? Are you on the paleo diet? Are you on the clean 30 diet? What are you on the FODMAP diet? What are you trying now? Right. The FODMAP one, the funniest story of that, I was in our bedroom, flat out on the floor, and my husband looked over me. He's like, I think we better try a different way.
It's so challenging. There's no rhyme or reason to it, right? You have to memorize these lists of random vegetables.
Yes.
And oh my God.
That was by far the hardest when I had to have an app, and he was honestly, he was like, love, I love you so much. There's got to be a different way. This is not working. So I was actually going to try the keto diet, because keto was kind of the thing. And I had a whole group of wave of friends who were going to do it. And so I was like, there's part of me, Leah, that was just I really don't want to do this and count this and that, right? Motivator mamas, we hate details. We don't want to count anything.
That's right. That's right.
Hence why Leah's on a mission. So you never have to count calories.
Let's just count cash, not calories. How about that? How about that for women? Yes.
So I was kind of resisting it in a way. And at the same time I was resisting it, I was kind of curious, is that what I'm supposed to do or not? And then lo and behold, something came through my inbox, and I'm not even sure exactly how I got whiff of it, but I realized that you can take your genetics, the same genetics that you get from 23andMe or Ancestry. They'll give you raw data, and then you can input it in. There's a lot of different places out there. And that's also if you go to my website, I'll walk you through the whole process. But basically there's other websites out there you can put in there to see more of what you want to see, which is how should I be eating based on my genetics? Because there's so much science behind it. It's called nutrigenomics, about how our nutrition affects our genes. And I had known some of this, I alluded to it before about methylation and methylated B vitamins. And so I kind of knew some of this, but I didn't realize wow, you could get a 25-page report that somebody can actually read, because I used to do genetic reports where I would have to sit down with a parent and be like, this means that, and this means that, and the parents would walk out and be like, I don't know what you just said. But this is print out 25-page report and answers like, it's so brilliant. It's like, should you be low fat or should you be high fat? It depends on your genetics.
Wow.
Should you be high carb? Should you be low carb? It depends on your genetics. Should you be gluten free? Should you be lactose free or dairy free? It's all in your genetics. Are you an early bird or a late bird? Like sleep genetics are in there, detox genetics, that thing I alluded to before, which I specialize in methylation genetics, right? So I'm like, whoa. So I said, okay, I'm super curious. I'm about to try this keto diet.
Yeah.
I put in my genetics and the report pops out that I'm like the opposite of a keto. A keto is high fat and I should be low fat.
Interesting.
And a keto is low carb and I should be high carb. And I said a joke to one of my daughters, I was like, I don't even know how to eat high carb because for so long, she was like, that is the most annoying comment, Mom, you've ever said. Like, stop it.
Gotta love teenage girls, man.
She's like, that's just annoying, Mom. I'm like, I'm sorry, I've never eaten so many carbs before in my entire life. But because of my GI symptoms, so much of like the GI healing stuff, they always say like low carbs, eliminate grains. Like I had been on a grain-free diet for so long, eliminate grains, all these things. And so when I just followed the report, you can go to eatforyourgenetics.com, eatforyourgenetics.com, and I'll walk you through it. But you get this report and you're like, oh, I'm like the opposite of a keto. So then I just started. So then I had to get detailed. I had to download an app and I had to track it for a couple of weeks to really see like, how do I need to eat or how do I get to eat to sort of follow this?
Yeah.
And I started feeling more energy and I started releasing some sticky pounds. And because I was getting more in the target of where I should be. Like, it's not like you have to do it perfectly, but if I'm all the way out here, like not anywhere close to the bullseye, right? Then my body, like I don't have genetics that metabolize fat well. So when I eat like sausage and eggs, I'll be full for like 8 hours. Like, and it doesn't feel good full.
It doesn't feel good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good full because it just takes me too long to process that. Right. Wow. So, but there's nothing wrong with that. Right. Like some people, that's exactly what they should be eating. So I found that tool so helpful. So if you're curious about that, eatforyourgenetics.com and I'll walk you right through how to do it. And you can just get the report yourself. You can order the saliva testing on your own, download and upload the data to where it needs to go. It'll print out a report, right? And then if you want me to, like I can, consult with people and I walk you through the whole thing, but I don't have to. Like, it's all in your power. That's what I love it. Like, you don't have to have a doctor to order you this. Like, you can just do it on your own and you'll learn so much. I mean, the thing like anything else, right? Like, it's all pattern recognition. So for like 2 decades, I've been looking at patterns, right? So I can clearly see, like, I'll look at yours and know, like, you struggle with this, that, and that. And I see these patterns and I'm going to say, okay, these are the key foods. These are the key supplements, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my gosh. That is so fascinating. So now, do you marry your work with nutrition and genetics with the breakthrough coaching, or are these really two separate streams for you?
I do if people want it, right? Like, so like, let's say if you're going through coaching, I mean, so I'm not telling you anything you don't know, like 80% of eating has nothing to do with the food that you're eating, which is your whole expertise, right? So if that's part of their goal, for the 6 months when, we're working deeply, if that's part of it, then one of the one-on-ones is just, going through your whole genetics. And, I've just learned a lot of things being in this world for so long. So I, key supplements and those type of things.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is so fascinating. So fascinating. Okay. But I have one more question for you. But before I do, can you just describe, in terms of who you help? Like, how would listeners know if you would be somebody that could maybe help them with what they're struggling with?
Well, first and foremost, you get to be a soulful mama. What does that mean? It means that you believe that something is greater than you. period.
Yeah.
So those are the women that I'm here and called to serve, is that, wow, there's something greater than me. And we're all here for a purpose or a reason, or many purposes and many reasons. So that's one. The second is, I tend to work with women who have tried a lot of other things, right? Just like me.
Yeah.
And just have been unsuccessful in whatever area of life, whether that, like, I'm thinking of, it can be health related because I have such a strong background in health, but it's not always health. Like, for instance, I'm thinking of this one mama who she had the autoimmune disease, right? So I kind of gave her some tips and tricks navigating that, did her eat for genetics, but she's also struggling with intimacy in her marriage from infidelity, right? So then I use this strategy. So it's like, it's all kind of the inner workings, but most of these mamas, first and foremost, is just like, they're very soulful. They're like, they use words like God or universe, spirit, like they're very faith-based, doesn't have to be Bible-based, it's just like faith-based. Like there is something greater. There's a force greater than me. And I'm really looking to like tap in to see where all of that is, first and foremost. They're midlife. So generally 40s, 50s, and some 60s. And they're ready to focus on themselves. So they're not in the period of parenting where like everything is about your kiddos, right? Yeah. Where we're just like, we can barely breathe, right? We're changing diapers, we're breastfeeding, we're doing all of that. We're more like, okay, not that our kids are ever like never have issues, they do, right. But they're more like, okay, what about me? Like my health is off the rockers. I'm really feeling unfulfilled. Maybe my kids have like, they've graduated. They're off to school, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what is my purpose? Like, why am I here? What am I doing? I'm not a mom. Like, so much of their identity is around day-to-day mothering that when their kids leave, they're like, what am I?
Right. Yes. That's huge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Other entrepreneurs, of course, I tend to attract other entrepreneurs because I am an entrepreneur. So I can like chiropractic doctors, health coaches, like, because it's like, yeah, I see you, I am you.
Yeah, totally. And where should people find you? Is it at your website?
Yeah, drsuemccreadie.com. Yep. And then a lot of people always ask, what about my kids? Like if you're listening and you have a child, you're right. I'm only licensed in the state of Michigan, so I can only see your child if you come to the state of Michigan or you live in the state of Michigan. However, let me say right here in the front and open that epidemicanswers.org is a beautiful nonprofit that focuses on helping these children that I work with, epidemicanswers.org. And you can find a practitioner in your area. So it's like a big nonprofit that has a database of practitioners who practice similar to I do to help these kids heal.
Got it. Oh, I love that. Thank you. I'll make sure I get all of those links in the show notes. Last question, but not least, and this is a really important question that you don't have to answer if it's too personal. Mm-hmm. But for my listeners who can't see you, Dr. Sue is ripped. She's like the best arms you've ever seen. And so I just want to know, what do you do to get those arms, Dr. Sue? How did you get those amazing arms?
This is awesome. You don't know what I do. I think I wrote a blog post on it because so many people ask me. So maybe I'll find the blog post and I'll give you a link.
Please do.
So it's a process, but it's something I've already shared. So A, eating for my genetics, first and foremost, definitely. B, I also guide people through the nutritional cleansing system that I use and love. And I think I'm going on like 8 years now using it or something. So a combination of intermittent fasting and eating for your genetics. So cleanse days is a big part of it for me. And then the third are HIIT workouts that actually, I do love the Peloton. I love Peloton.
I've heard such good things. I'm not a Peloton. I'm a Pilates person, but
you're a Pilates person. So Peloton, if you're a Peloton person, I love you. We're part of a tribe, but so cycling on Peloton is my workout. And there's another one that I've just recently done called Faster Way. Have you heard of them? Faster Way?
Faster Way, yeah.
So I'm a part of Faster Way, and I actually love it. Here is the funny thing, you guys. I started with Faster Way because I was like, they're all about they don't talk about eating for your genetics, but they talk about intermittent fasting, carb cycling. They pair the workouts according to that.
Yeah.
Right. And they're all whole foods based. It's like it's a phenomenal, like I've met the CEO and I'm like, you're a phenomenal woman. Like, let's go. I'm right behind you because I don't do all of that part. So here's the funny thing though, like just to be fully transparent, I was like, I'm doing this because I'm going to start carb. I want to like master the macros because I actually have challenged myself to do a bike race uphill on August 19th, 2023, Mount Washington autoclimb. And it's like, if you don't have the power generated, you fall off your bike. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get really lasered. And I still haven't done it yet because I'm still not being detailed. Do you get it? Like, do you see how I am you? Like, I think people over here think, oh, she's got it. I'm like, no. Do you see? Like, I purchased the app. I love it. I think it's a phenomenal community. I really do. And also, I still am not carb counting.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Right. It's so funny. And you want to do this race. Like you want to do this challenge and get still do it, right?
And still, And even today I was like, okay, so we're getting closer to that because I have these goalposts of like the power that I need to meet in order to be on track to get myself up the hill. Right. So I even said to myself today, I said, Leah, May. It's got to start in May too, right? It's got to start in May. Because initially, like, that's my thing. Like, if carb counting is your thing, like, hats off to you. I can only do it for a period of time and then kind of figure out, like, okay, I'm generally in the ballpark because otherwise I just go back crazy.
Right.
But like in this case, like for a race and stuff, I'm like, okay, what if I really dialed it in? So Faster Way is the other part.
Oh my gosh. Well, Dr. Sue, you gave us, I think I'm going to have more links in the show notes than I've ever had. I love it. But for people listening out there, I mean, if you don't click on any of those links, you have to go check out Dr. Sue's quiz. It is so awesome and so fun. And who doesn't want to know what kind of mama they are? And I love your definition of a mama because I have a lot of listeners who maybe don't have children in their home, like I said, but they're mamas at heart. So
they're mamas at heart for sure. And I coach mamas at heart too, right? Like I love you all.
Oh my gosh. Well, I want to assure you all out there in the Life You Crave community, this is not the last you're going to see of Dr. Sue. She's going to be around. So thank you so, so much for coming on the show today. It was such a pleasure to get to chat with you.
No, thank you for having me, Leah. You are a godsend in this world. So beautiful.
Thank you.
You've been listening to The Life You Crave. I lost 30 pounds years ago without dieting, willpower, or deprivation. I'm on a mission to help other women, including you, do the same. You can book a free weight loss strategy session with me over at leahpinelli.com. That's LIAPINELLI.com. See you on our next call or on the next episode. And remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on iTunes.